Okay, so last time was a really shitty scuffed episode because I was kind of on a different setup and on Wi-Fi and stuff. So basically, the intention of last time was just to do the Orgrimmar stuff, busy work, whether it be doing the banking. It's my first time back to Orgrimmar since leaving for Turisfall, right? So we did Turisfall, Silverpine Forest. So today should be like the actual Durotar wrap up, which I know I said that before, but there were certain quests that we left hanging, like the Fizzle Darkstorm and stuff. So I kind of cheated my resting condition, right? Like twice so far in the series, where I said I have to rest in a different place every episode, even though gap detected with a duration. Wait, how did that happen? Add-on playtime gap detected. Does that mean that like Heaven 6, duration 3879. So basically, I came up with sort of a funny explanation for what was happening. Because I went on Wi-Fi, all I did was I went from the house in the Barrens where I rested at to Orgrimmar, and then I did some banking and I did some learning spells and training my pet and things like that. But the whole theme of coming back is like, oh, now we finally have a pet, so we feel like a true hunter. So now we get to show it off to the trainer and stuff. But the one downside we could say as a side effect to explain the crashes because I was using Wi-Fi and that could have gotten me killed. So even as careful as I was like, I want to end off in the crossroads, but then I was too scared to even try to go there. So the way I could explain the crashes is that in RP would be like, okay, our character adjusted to the climate in Fall and Silverpine, which is like the chill of death, and it's, you know, much cooler there. And then you come back to Durotar and you're not used to it anymore. So you keep having heat strokes every once in a while. So every crash was a heat stroke, even to the point where we end up going outside of Orgrimmar at the end and then passing out from a heat stroke to end the episode. So it's a little bit different than how I normally end them, where it's like, oh, I have to sleep in a different house every time. Does that mean it's like out of date, or why is it saying that? Or that must have been something that happened before. I don't get it. What are you talking about, a gap? That's going to invalidate the whole run. I even put this on defensive in case I somehow, you know, it did crash and that would have been relevant to get me killed. Yeah, so we had our unhappiest sleep so far, even worse than sleeping on the floor in that stupid undead's house where they, you know, they don't have beds. Although we got our best sleep there too because they had that fancy bed. So that's the other time I broke the rule. So the whole rule of it is at the end of every episode, we have to sleep in a different location, not like a different zone, but like a different house. So like we slept in the house at the beginning of the Barrens, like somewhere around there. So now we can't sleep there again. We can sleep in the crossroads or some other. It gives sort of a purpose and weight to a lot of these random houses out in the world, right? There's a lot of random buildings, as long as it's relatively safe there. So it at least forces you to keep it moving. So the two times I broke that rule was, one time was like a couple episodes back, where it was meant to be the episode where I'm just sitting in the house RPing and getting to know my pet, right? Like the day Azeroth stood still, but then he forced me to go out to get some meat because I didn't want to upset him in doing that. So it kind of wasn't entirely authentic, but I slept in that same bed in that house, like at the Ivor Patch or whatever it is, one of the houses in Silverpine. So I slept there twice. And then here I slept on the ground, which I'm technically not supposed to do. It should be in some sort of house, but just because I was too scared to go anywhere, because again, if I keep having heat strokes, it's going to get me killed. So it didn't really have the best night's rest, let's say. And of course, I don't want to get rested experience, so I'm not going to be allowed to sleep in the cities either, which seems very inconvenient. In the entire playthrough, you can't sleep in any of the capital cities even once. So today we feel like more confident. Our character, we finally have our pet. We've sort of earned for the first time in our life the right to feel like a true hunter, because we've always been ridiculed, like we never used a bow, we never used a gun, so how can you call yourself a hunter? But because of the pet, now we feel like, okay, at least we're a whole hunter at last, because he'll make up for our shortcomings, even though other hunters have those too. But you know, so we got the other engineering bombs. Yeah, I like that, because we only go back to the towns when it's a major story event. So we got that because we got the pet, so we got to show it off to the trainer and we got to properly train it and stuff. I won't even teach it the taunt. And so the whole point is that we got like an upgrade to every element. We got to engineering upgrade. We got, we could have gotten a cooking upgrade. We got first aid. So that's only going to happen once in a while. Not like, oh, at the end of every episode, I'm going to go back to the major city. That's just not how I'm going to play it. So now here we have a moment of hubris for our character. Like, oh, we got our sexy two-handed axe for the first time. We've been using a one-hander the whole time. We have our pet. We feel like a true hunter. All these kind of different things and upgrades. So now we're going to go back to face our revenge of an unfinished hunt that we left hanging, and that was whatever's left in Duratar. Like, first of all, the Burning Blade here, but more importantly, Fizzle Darkstorm, where we have a bone to pick with him because he clowned us so hard, or not even him, but his minion with the Void Walker that almost got us killed right down in Thunder Ridge. And so the point with that is we're going to go in overconfident in RP, but this is the pitfall. We think, oh, we're so decked out, but we're not used to what we're using yet, and so it's going to be a little bit weaker. So that's the hard mode challenge within it. We're training our axe as we're doing it, which I'm sure it'll get up to a decent amount, but that'll put us at least at a little disadvantage. So there's always these pitfalls, like where we think we're reached a milestone, but we're too overly confident, or we're too eager to punish Fizzle for what he put us through. So we sort of cheated that there. I think that episode twice. Once with the Crocodilus, we came like 1 HP, and then once there, if I didn't evade the Thunder Lizard in the back as I was running away, always clear what's behind you before you go forward, I would have just died if I aggroed him, because there'd be nowhere to go. Then if you keep running, you're never going to get away because you're boxed in between like 50 of them behind you. So you should never let those scenarios occur. Yeah, our pet is finally on the prowl. And remember, the permadeath pet condition exists too, in terms of if a pet dies, then you can never get another pet of the same kind. So I wouldn't be able to get a wolf like from the hinterlands or whatever other kind. We already lost the raptor, which it didn't die, but to us, you know, we're too traumatized by the loss of it. We, again, speaking of overestimating our ability, like, oh, we're going to take out our toughest nemesis, Fizzle, who clowned us before, who we didn't even fight. Or maybe I did fight him, but I just ran away. But we don't realize that, oh, we're not trained in using this new weapon that we have. So our strength becomes our weakness because we expect, you know, just because it's a stronger weapon, and it's not even that strong, but it's our first two-handed weapon ever that we're using, and it's only a level 5, and we're level 17, but I'm so excited about it. But the point is that we think it's going to make it easier, but it's actually going to make it harder because we're just not used to it yet. So that's a good pitfall of a young hunter, that you're not realizing your own limitations. So it's right down through here. We do have humanoid tracking on. So this should be a cakewalk. You might make a joke out of it like, oh, you know, you shouldn't even be doing this because it's too easy, but it's not like it's giving me anything either. I do like your animations there. We can do that. So let's test out the trap, or actually it wouldn't have much relevance here. You could have like a very memorable moment for it. So we're doing decent damage even with the low skill, and this gives us, wow, I love the animation actually of how that looks. I guess I'm not used to seeing it for a troll, where she swings it off to the side a little bit. Yeah, we learned the trap for the first time, kind of a dishonorable thing to use, but it almost makes it sound more like a warrior, right? And this kind of fits in with the same playstyle. That stun is going to be very impactful. It's not like part of my core rotation that I am going to use like, oh, every fight, but it is at least a relevant factor. And I do want to be able to tank for my pet, but he's become kind of so strong that I'm having trouble doing it, right? The whole goal of this is not to tank, but I mean, part of that, you could say, oh, it's because of the weapon. Do those actually stack? You know, oh, the weapon skill is low, but that's actually not why, because even, oh shit, 114. Yeah, see, this is the kind of top end stuff you're going to be seeing. We also got Mongoose Bite for the first time. So what is our chance to actually get that? Of course, that's just diminished because we don't have the skill for it. We have a 10% chance to parry. We have a probably 16-17% chance to dodge. So that's pretty good. And so I can't wait till we get counterattack, but that'll be at like level 30. So between any mitigation that we do, we'll get a new ability. And then obviously this would be a little bit higher than what it is. I can't think of a reason really not to use a two-hander. I'm almost at the point where I can use like a... I'm almost at the point where I can use a dual wield, right, in a couple levels. So it's kind of ironic that it took me that long, almost to that point, before I... Almost to the point where I can dual wield before I even use a two-hander. It was in my bank the whole time, but I guess I just didn't have the presence of mind to keep it with me. And of course, I don't go to the city too often, so... Yeah, this guy's not going to steal my kill on Fizzle, dude. Come on. It was to be a dead server, dead game. Only thing that's not dead about it is me. because I have yet to fail a permadeath run actually of this, even though I came ludicrously close. Unfortunately, this doesn't do like your weapon damage, right? It just does a fixed amount. But if it did, that'd be kind of OP, especially with the two-hander. You know, my path out should be clear, and you might be like, oh, I'm bullying gray enemies, dishonorable kills, which should be a demerit for any hunter, but it's also not really giving me anything for it either. And this quest is still legitimate. You might think, oh, how was I able to leave the quest hanging when I said I want to do it kind of completionist run? And the reason why is because as long as it's yellow or orange, yellow or higher, so yellow, orange, red, I can leave the zone as that's all I have left. I could defer and say, okay, I can come back and do it later. So it was still yellow when I left, and it's still green even now. So imagine, it's like a quest you get when you're like level 10, and I'm almost level 20 and it's still fucking green. Like, what is that about? You want to clear this as much as you can. The pace at which I'm killing these at least makes it feel encouraging. But this is still going to be somehow a little bit difficult because, well, first of all, I'm out of mana because I keep trying to spam wing clip too much. I mean, that theoretically shouldn't be an issue, but you get respawns behind you, it could still be trouble. Or we could do the old Grotus strat, but it's going to be tough. So let's not go in too cocky, which we already are because we're not skilled enough with our weapon. But, you know, it's kind of hard to even aggro these because you are so high. It's a good problem to have, but everything should be pretty much fodder. But Fizzle is no joke. Like, why is the quest even still green if I guess Fizzle is, but... Where's the guy with the Voidwalker? That's who I want. How? How did he die? What, that guy came in and just killed him and nothing else? It wouldn't even be right to kill Fizzle until I take care of that guy first. There's this one clown orc with the Voidwalker. I don't want to be here too long, though. Any enemies that have pets are kind of bullshit, but that's kind of ironic for a hunter to say. Although I was almost thinking about not having a pet. Imp minion. That one doesn't scare me too much, but... Somebody has a Voidwalker, but I don't know what, maybe they just sometimes don't spawn, or, oh no, he was here before, so why is the imp there? Like, oh shit, we went way too close to Fizzle, and somehow my pet didn't even aggro it, and now it's going to be kind of cheese because we resist most of this, but look at how much that actually does. Like, that's still doing 30, which is a decent amount. Defies Pillager moment, even though it does nowhere near that much. Oh shit, I'm actually one-shotting. We don't believe in bows, so I won't even sell that. Alright, like a gun control moment. You won't even let me kill the guy with the Voidwalker, dude. It's not right to fight the boss before. He'll come in and clown me. He'll come in and clown me. He'll pat back. I owe it to this fucking Voidwalker, dude. Not exactly the same guy, but... Now look how much tankier the Voidwalker is going to be. And they don't... Yeah, there's two elements of the Voidwalkers that are insane. They're stronger and way tankier than the minions themselves. You could say, oh, that's because they're a caster, but it's almost like this is how strong a real Warlock summoned Voidwalker would be. So try to duel a Warlock at your level and try to kill their Voidwalker first before you kill them and see how goddamn long that'll take. Now he comes to protect his little summoning circle. But not only that, but they don't even die once the minion dies. Look at Fizzle. Look at the clown, dude. Or you know what we should have done? You know what we should have done? Make this like an epic story moment. Fizzle, oh shit. Fizzle's too strong for us. You should have the pet kill the pet, and you should have you fight him. So it's like a scene from a movie where it's like, you know, you both take your target so you can handle it. Otherwise, they'd be too strong. He's not even fully happy here, like food-wise, and none of this food is expired. That's kind of how I consider it to be. So that reset. And the leashing aspect is a little bit confusing because, you know, when you're in the water, it's kind of thrown me off a lot. I've forgotten exactly how it works because of the simple fact that when you're in the water, you're going so slow that you end up leashing them for a lot longer than you're normally used to doing on land. That is kind of my weakness, where that's not leashing, that's more like anchoring, because you're literally fucking stuck by how slow you swim. Yeah, this would be like, we can't handle it, but because we have our pet now, we can. We stick him on there, and then we take care of Fizzle ourselves. Not that we needed to do that whatsoever, although he is healing for a decent amount. Look at who this guy is right now. Look at him, dude. I need like the bomb to stun him. Well, he did his work by taking out the imp. I guess I thought the imp would be a little bit tankier. Like, this guy is the final boss of the whole fucking game. Give him the tough jerky right off his body. Not that that's probably his favorite food of choice, but we can buy it from this shop. Like, there's no rule against that. It's just that I prefer to get it myself. Never trust meat that you don't cut and skin yourself is like an old hunter saying, let's say. That's Fizzle. So what else do we have to do in this area? I just want to end off in the crossroads. That'll be where we rest. There's a house like on one side of it that I remember pretty distinctly. Yeah, that was kind of a cool, honorable way to do it, I guess, although it maybe made it too easy. Where, like, we have the pet fight the pet, and then he ended up having to join in because of that drain life effect. That's something we saw in Silver Pine Forest, so we could have had, like, a flash in our head, right, like an anime moment, where, you know, we remember how we dealt with that. That's why we're able to conquer him now. There was some weird thing by the sepulcher that drained your life so much that you couldn't out-damage it. But the solution is we rely on our pet, and he, you know, kind of provides knockback and obviously extra damage and stuff. The point is I don't like the pet to even attack right away. I love these crits, but it doesn't even seem to make sense. Why am I critting so much if at best my crit chance is like 5%? I guess it's because we have the 20% chance from this. Yeah, I guess I underestimated how big of a difference the two-hander would make because of the top-end damage, obviously. Right, like, I mean, obviously a two-hander is better than a single one-hander, period, but why would you want to dual wield if your abilities are going to do way more otherwise? And you can use Mongoose Bite. That should almost be a rule. You can't use a Mongoose Bite from one enemy against another enemy because that's not fair, right? It was allowing me to use it on the next thing. I guess I didn't even know whether you could do that or not. You can only use it if the thing you dodge is the same thing you're fighting at that moment. It's like the opposite of overpower for warriors, where they have to dodge you or parry you. Now here you have to dodge them or parry them, or at least like including counterattack. So it almost has shades of like, wow, hunters were supposed to be tank class, and how like rogues were supposed to have bucklers. Like, I don't know, some of this class design is a little bit weird, but it's a good way to combine a permadeath with a hard mode on top of it. So the other thing we need to do is the Burning Blade, and I forget where exactly you turn some of the stuff in. Stone Talon Mountains it's already sending me. I'm not even in fucking the Barrens yet, but I am going to keep mixing around these areas. See, when I left, it was still green. And, well, the fact that it's in the city, too, is an excuse. So my unlock condition to go to the Undercity was to get it to friendly, which is a perfect way that we ended off in Silverpine. That's a good checkpoint. Like, we weren't allowed to go there yet, and we still didn't go there, but we at least got from neutral to friendly, so now we go there as an honored citizen who gets passage into Undercity, which otherwise we wouldn't be able to do. So I don't even have too much stuff in my bag. So the only two things I have to do here, unless they give me more quests as a result, which they'll probably give me like a RFC quest, which that I won't pick up. I'll be careful not to pick up stuff that involves elites or dungeons, because obviously I don't want to abandon anything, but I also won't be able to do that, or it's just not practical to let it fill it up. Tiger hide boots almost sounds like something that should have agility on it. How many pieces of agility gear do I actually have? Or like, what's my total? +9. One of them gives me like 5. It's like my legs or my boots. And you bought this from a shop, like some NPC shop in Silver Pine Forest, one of the houses that we slept in. So it's always acceptable to sleep in a town, but it's got to be a house in the town, not that we really milked this Duratar housing situation dry. We're a homeless vagrant troll who's occupying every house. We slept in that house over there. We slept in that house. We slept in the house with the woman crying over her kid. We slept, and I like to pose it like we're doing an exchange, right? If it's an empty house, we can just kind of slum there and it's fine. But if it's a house with somebody in it, like, we agree to do that quest to find what happened to her kid, and in exchange she lets us have sleep for the night. Or, yeah, I always try to make my RP ingrained to something gameplay centric. It's not just RP for the sake of RP. So, like, we went to Tirisfal and we slept in that apothecary guy's house by the edge of town, like to the right of the mounts. But in exchange for doing the quest that he gave us, we said, okay, can we sleep the night here first? Right, so with the expectation that we're going to do that, and we made a priority to do it sooner than anything else, let's say. and there's some sort of nefarious stuff that happens at night that I've sort of been building up. Like when we slept in his house, he's giving us a quest that's like gives us Troll's blood potion as a reward, and it's like maybe he's sucking my blood from me when I'm asleep, and he's gonna give it back to me as the reward for the quest. So you don't really know. And at that point, we didn't have the pet watching out for us. So this was kind of a cool pet moment in the Barrens. We sleep in this house, and this peon looks like he's eyeing us, like, oh, this rich traveler with all this cool fancy gear. He might try to steal something from us overnight. But our pet did us good justice, and he stayed awake all night, kind of growling at him to make sure that wouldn't happen. That's kind of a good teamwork moment, even outside of combat. Every time we sleep in the presence of somebody else, they could be doing something weird like that. I guess the mother could have done something weird too, but I don't really see why. Or just something sad, like somehow she was like brushing our hair to try to remember, how gentle her son was, and like, I don't know, treating us like a kid in the absence of her actual kid. This will be just fucking overload. Abaddon and Tamao. Now those must be players. Abaddon's a pretty badass name though. Oh no, somebody's gonna steal. Like, it's supposed to be a dead server, man. Maybe I'll just wait for him to be done with it. I could fish for a bit. I've kind of forgotten about my fishing challenge. Like, which bodies of water did I miss in Silverpine? Like, we'll go back there too. I like to reach like you wouldn't expect to do the whole Silverpine in one go through, but I like to reach a checkpoint. So it could be reaching friendly with the Undercity. It could be getting to a point where none of the quests are left except for Yellow and up. It could be exploring up to Amber Mill. Like, there's not much left besides Pyrewood and the elites and shit. And that's a scary zone because of the Sons of Aragorn, right? Random 25 elites just dicking around all over the zone in random spots. Not unlike in Duskwood as an Alliance player, but I guess there's only one. There's that one abomination whose name I even forget, who walks along the roads. So we'll get to level 18, but I won't learn spells because we're already obligated to go to the Crossroads. I should almost have to learn it like in Thunder Bluff. So there's like a different city, episode that we'll do. And we've done a few episodes now, maybe too many. Every like 5 to 10 episodes, I like to do like one that's RP focused or one that's just sort of not a combat or gameplay focused episode. So like when we talked to every NPC in Orgrimmar, that was like our longest episode yet. For like 5 hours, we're just talking to every single NPC. And so the reason behind it is just you have a case where that's a good way to break up the other episodes that would be more combat focused. I kind of want to do this very thoroughly, so I'll let everything respawn, and hopefully these clowns won't do it, or they're done with it. So he could eat the boar meat. I kind of have a cannibalism protestation thing where like I wouldn't want to feed him wolf meat of any kind, of his own kind. That's something we had, we didn't want to pick that up from the undead area. The simple fact that, just because they cannibalize and they are in good terms with undead that way, we would not want to teach that to our pet, or we would not want to do it ourselves, especially with some sort of maybe taint of the voodoo that might do that. We aren't like that. We're not that kind of troll. It's actually a good excuse to get some of this boar meat. The only other meat we fed it was from Fizzle. And these crits are incredible, but I guess it's no big surprise with the talent there. Some of the respawns were incredibly jacked out with how quickly they would come about. Yeah, this is meant to be sort of a mini episode as well. Just, I don't like the length of some of these because people might criticize the pace, like, oh, you're playing so slow, but that's deliberate. The flip side is I only do it once a week, and I only do it for like 2 hours a week, so that's the part that doesn't seem like enough, right? It's not even so much an issue of, so we really did do Fizzle without having our axe even maxed out. I mean, he's only level 12, but you can see how crazy sometimes these named NPCs or rare spawns or whatever have all these crazy abilities. Like that spider goes Super Saiyan mode, he absorbs like 100+ damage when he's about to die, and he does a Shadow Bolt for 135. Just like, what the fuck? Like, choose one or the other, right? He took offense to me calling him squishy like a bug. So I like this mitigation that we have going on. And this is a good excuse, like I said, to farm for a little bit of meat. The meat does spoil at the end of every episode, so that kind of forces me to stay in tune. Like, no matter what I'm doing, either I have to spend some money on on food for the pet, or I have to go hunting for some beasts just for that reason alone. So that is good, like a good RP reason for combat. So like in that one episode that I was meant to stay in the house the whole time and get to know my pet, and just kind of going over and recapping on some of the events of our life and stuff, I still had to go out and hunt some bears to kind of mix up the monotony of just sitting there the whole time too. But the good reason was I wasn't doing it just to complete a quest or to get experience or to grind, although it does kind of encourage grind-like behavior that you wouldn't do otherwise. I did it because the pet found my lack of meat disturbing, let's just say. He was starving, and we have a special trauma associated with that because we lost our raptor. We didn't know how to feed it. I think that's kind of funny how I never knew that. Like, I mean, I never played a hunter, but you would think you would know just by extrapolation. You don't learn how to feed the pet until you go to the major city. So I thought the quest that you complete to tame the pet would just give it to you automatically, and then you learn the other abilities like men pet and beast training and stuff like that later in the city or from the trainer, maybe at a higher level. But literally the most basic essential thing to keep the pet around for any amount of time from the pet is just to feed the pet. They don't even give you that. Now they look like they completed it, but now they're going to sit here and clown me, or are they going to keep doing it over and over? I just want the respawns here and fight my way through it. I haven't used my trap yet. I was almost saving her for a special moment. It's going to do a total of 105 over 15 seconds, which isn't bad. I just can't wait till we get feigned death, too. Come on. Okay, that's good enough. Don't make it seem like it's respawned. I just came in here because I'm waiting. They're going to totally clown me, aren't they? There's a lot of shit in here, too, so we got to be careful. I guess I have enough room because I use the bank, but I don't want to overdo it. Oh, here we go. Speaking of the Voidwalker clown show. So annoying how that constantly happens, especially in a high stakes combat moment. Like, clearly that level 10 was going to kill me, so somehow I covered it up by letting it crash. No, but that's what the add-on, I guess, is good for. Which I wasn't even intending to use, but I was saying, like, the way that you should do this is the pet should take the pet out of a sense of honor, and you should take the trainer. Right, so it makes it a 1v1 thing, and it also makes it easier to tank stuff that otherwise would be very difficult to do. We do have an interrupt now, which you wouldn't really get normally otherwise. Right, it's almost like out of a sense of honor, you shouldn't even put them on there, but you can, like how we did that with Fizzle. I was trying not to, but then he was just so tanky because of the heal, the drain life. Like when it's only one, it should be fine. Let's actually do our first mongoose bite. Only did 20. Wait, how? For 25... can only be performed, For some reason I thought it would do more than that. Only rank 1, and our skill is almost maxed out, right? 85 should be where we're at. This kind of splits the damage too. It's not even like I need to do this, but just out of a certain principle. Or it wasn't even like a specific person you had to kill. It was just any of them can drop it. Small rune marks the bearer as a lieutenant in the Burning Blade. Just some random clown with a Voidwalker, of which we've seen far better. It's only 21. I'm actually disturbed by that. I was looking so forward to getting Mongoose Bite, and I thought it would be so much better than what it clearly is. Like, it's not even better than this, hardly. Because you only get it when you mitigate something, it should do actually quite a bit more than that. Yeah, I do like this two-hander a lot already. It's too bad the wing clip damage isn't really taking advantage of it. Yeah, I shouldn't use the Mongoose Bite like that. So many rules that I come up with. I should only use it if I'm actually dodging here, which casters obviously play around that a lot. They'll cuck my DPS quite a bit because I won't be dodging or parrying because they're not going to be doing anything in the first place. You have very little to use mana on, and so as a result, you don't really have to worry too much about holding it back too much. What the hell was that? You probably heard that too, some big bang. Yeah, normally it would be like this, but you can't even open that. Or what, is going to send me back and then make me open that too? That sometimes these quests can be a little bit asinine like that. Crits are quite impressive. You have to get like a special key, but you can't even interact with it. Or it's probably just a quest item, to be honest. And this is one element of the game that, despite this being considered one of the best games ever, Oh, you know what? This is almost an obligation that we have too, to fish in every body of water, even these kind, which I'm sure by now I've probably missed some. Like, even if you just fish once, it's fine in each body of water. And these ones won't even appear on the map, so... And I'm actually fishing, like, in the wall. Like, they clone the texture. So, like, this is the same exact cave that you go into in the Valley of Trials. Right? Like, and you see it plenty other places. So, that is the one seeming drawback of this game, despite how great it was, but that's understandable. A lot of games do that too. I mean, even single-player games of much smaller sizes do that. Just doing it again because that one didn't feel right in the wall like that, but it's almost a rule against canceling it. The level 5 axe is really doing this good for us. Of course, we just have to hope and pray we get one. Or now what's going to happen is we're going to get a one-hander that's better than even the two-hander just because it's a higher level, so then I'll feel compelled to go back to that. We just got it, obviously, from a random drop. I mean, that's the only way we are going to get it, unless we somehow craft it, or unless we somehow get it from a quest, or you could get it from a NPC vendor shop. I like how significant the NPC vendor shops actually were in my other playthroughs. Like, it might not seem like they sell very good things or is that consequential, but it becomes consequential because that's the best you have available. So there are times where you get like a pretty meaningful upgrade from that. Although money seems to be more of an issue than it was in the past. Somehow I just didn't have that same worry before. One good thing that can't happen is you can't, like, you'll tap target and accidentally hit something across the room and aggro everything. You can't do that because you don't have any ranged abilities in the first place. Or at least not any that you could do by accident. I mean, we're clearing this place out just for the sake of it, but we're not even getting anything. Just please don't give me like a whole bunch of chain quests, or give me something related to RFC so that I won't feel compelled to do it. Yeah, this is maybe something I should have done before. Now I'm getting too overconfident with this, but they are only like level 9 gray stuff, so... You're not feeling the level that you are, obviously, because you're not using most of your class abilities, and you're also, you know, just not using your range, period. Even if you were just using it auto shoot, it's still going to be better than what you're doing here. Although maybe not much better, with the amount of commitment that we have to this. You know, between Mongoose Bite and everything, but even that's kind of a suicidal notion, that you would tank like that. Boar meat, I guess we'll feed him jerky for now. He liked that last one. But you shouldn't go into combat while he's eating like that, but I guess it doesn't last too long. We trust him to have our back. He trusts us to have the front. And he actually has the harder target there. You might think, oh, I'm going easy by giving him the pet, but the pet is actually stronger than they are. It does more damage on average. It has way more armor. It has way more... Now, that might have not been a legitimate Mongoose Bite to do. Or maybe... I did just get a dodge there, but I got it maybe at the end. 22, 3 into stamina. Normally, I never send the pet in at the beginning, but it's acceptable only because we're fighting different things. This almost seems too optimal of a way to do it, though. You should have to do it in a bit more difficult manner. Or I almost need to taunt myself because, oddly, I want to tank for it. I don't want it to tank for me. Kind of spoiling me with the crits just from the talent. I guess that makes up for how bad you are as a melee hunter, period. Just the fact that you get like a 20% base crit to an ability. Not even that the ability is so bad, it's just that playing like this has no real intrinsic benefit to it. People are going to be bitching about like how I'm looting by clicking one by one, but in case there's something I don't want, I do have that bag space rule too. So I'll loot the, I'll fish here too. You send this after this, you don't even have to worry about the aggro ranges too much because of this, but ordinarily, you wouldn't be this lax with it. And it feels like we can take on so many of them at once, but the one drawback of that might be if they, you know, since I am that's not something I'm accounting for very well. 151, which I mean, we have such a big mana pool. It's kind of ridiculous at times. End up having as much mana as a mage, you know, just stack mana as a hunter. You can spam wing clip for your main source of DPS. We dodged there, which is very nice. We don't have the floating text that tells us, like, oh, Mongoose Bite is active. Oh, shit. Now, you could technically run away. That's 4 targets, and they're doing a good amount of damage. So, because we cleared this out pretty well, look at this. We're getting clowned by level 10s and 11s and all this kind of stuff. Even though this guy's 14, so maybe I misjudged something. Why is he on the incline like that? And before they both hit me with Shadow Bolt crits from through the walls, which they can do. What's happening? Oh, they're trying to help me like a clown or something. That's where multiplayer stuff ruins it, whether it be, you know, they'll try to grief you or hurt you somehow, or they'll try to help you. Either one is bad because it kind of disqualifies the experience. Yeah, like you totally would have died there if somebody doesn't help you, although they didn't even do anything. You got to have like the hardcore tag on somehow that, but see, that'll encourage griefing as much as anything. So that guy's in a weird spot. Like normally he'd be up there, so that's a perfect bait. He's something of the master hunter himself. Oh, that is an unbelievable spot to be in. No matter how you approach it, we could use our bomb and our trap for the first time ever. We'll stun his dumb ass. We'll walk him through the trap. See if that other thing aggroes. It probably should, because we got the Voidwalker will help out our pet. So look at that. That's the full hunter build coming together. Go ahead and do this shit. He's doing a good amount of damage, but it's okay. See, I had no idea that would be like the boss type enemy. I thought it would just be a random one, because if it was a boss type, it would be up at the top there. Yeah, between the bomb, the stun, and the trap, that looked very good. You have slain him. Remember to / reload when convenient to save your progress. Like, what does that mean, to save your progress? Like, Eye of Burning Shadow, level 4. Like, shouldn't it be auto-saving, whatever? Burning Shadows, words emanate from the pendant into your mind. Gazoo's report. There is word of your discovery in Skull Rock. You must prepare for an attack. I order you to speak. Speak, or I will make sure Nero Fireblade knows of your presence, and he will descend on you with swift brutality. Do not test your skills against Nero. Are you there? Take the eye to Nero. Okay, so that was a big surprise moment, and he was in such a clutch position, such that you're able to totally get baited, right? He knows your expectation. He's subverting your expectations. That, oh, you would expect him to be up there guarding the chest, but then you go to grab it and then he attacks you from underneath. Or like here, you're not expecting him to be as powerful, I guess, as he was. He's acting like a rank and file soldier. So that was like a hiding in plain sight moment that a hunter could envy so well. Actually, really good. That almost seems like a bug, like he's just not meant to be there, but... And it's on such a weird incline. Like, you saw how the Voidwalker walked through the other enemies, so normally when that happens, it'll aggro them. Or he's back again. What's going on? This guy is so bugged out. He's back like 5 seconds later. 69. The curse of 69 follows me everywhere. And he doesn't even have the summon this time. I don't know what's going on. Can't even put your stupid demon skin on. He's OCD like me. You're trying to do ice armor in the middle of combat as a mage or something. Okay, so we did everything here. There's only one other place I want to see, and then I want to turn in these 2 quests, or I should maybe do that first. I want to see that one cave that I couldn't really get through that had like 3, or maybe I still won't even be able to do that. It had like 3 Voidwalker chicks together. So based on how hard it was to deal with those 2, and they probably would aggro together because that's just the way they are. Not because they're high enough level now, but it's just scripted in such a way that you would do that. So it's very hard to keep them from attacking the pet. I mean, it doesn't feel that bad to click, but I don't know why I keep doing it. I guess because I'll keep tab targeting something else, you know, by accident, so it's kind of hard to avoid that sometimes. degenerate clicker. Yeah, I never like to send the pet in first. That's kind of like a hard rule. There's a lot of things I do on purpose, right, that people would say are suboptimal or whatever, but I don't know what they're doing. It's like they keep doing it over and over. Maybe it's just a good farming spot, or they're botting, but for what reason I couldn't tell you. So the other one is like right here, and so I almost don't even care. Like there's nothing I should have to worry about picking up. Some of this stuff will be gone anyway. So we want to return this to Niru, which I don't even know. Isn't Niru like in the throne room with Thrall? I don't even know. Who the hell is Niru Fireblight? Soul Scar. What was the third one? Oh, this one. Return it to Thrall and Orgrimmar. I would want to do all three of those before I leave, and then they'll give me a chain quest that keeps me here for even longer. This one I'm just doing for the sake of it. It is like the one cave that I didn't clear out. I've only used the trap once so far. Somehow it's like up at the top. You have to like go through the harpies, or I don't even know how I got there. I swear I never even knew that location existed because it doesn't have a mark on the map. It's just empty space. And like I said, the only reason I even knew it was there was because I'm fighting the harpies or something. I'm just doing some other quest. And then I see here like, oh, Burning Blade. I'm like, isn't the Burning Blade thing up there? Which like was what we just saw, but I hadn't been there yet. But what? Look at this clown show of a spot. What do you think? I'm a harpy? Like I could fly up there? So how did I even get there? To somehow climb up to the top of this. These shouldn't really even aggro, but you normally shouldn't put yourself at risk like this. They just know to respect the alpha. Sometimes part of hunting is not fighting. It's sort of employing the path of least resistance. We can check this. There's just these moments where you fight like 2 or 3 things at once that you just get out of control. That's very handy. I almost don't even want any of this. Yeah, somehow you get up to the top there and you'll see the Burning Blade somewhere. I actually can't even see it now. Or it's almost like you could go through there and then do it, but no, I think the way you do it is like you go from Razor Hill, which I may as well sell stuff then. I wasn't even intending to. Who is Niru Fireblade? Like, I don't even know who he is, but I'm not allowed to look stuff up or anything. I know the name, and I've probably, you know, done other stuff for him before. You'd almost think, like, one of the quests that I have is already for him, but I guess it's not. Yeah, we finally take out our nemesis Fizzle. I think I did try to fight him before, too, but then I just ran away, obviously. With the pressure of the imp and everything, and like I could barely do it now just in terms of out DPSing his drain life stuff. They just spam it and it's healing them for way more than you're capable of doing. Or that maybe I should have used the bomb there to interrupt, but that was a sense of honor not to do that. We got that Voidwalker to go right through our trap. That was a pretty satisfying first moment of it, to kind of try to help out the pet. There's all these like little utility things you can do here. So like your base raw melee damage and abilities are not very good, and you have very few of them, especially now. Like we've got our second one really repeatable Mongoose Bite, but even that is situational. And then you'll finally get counterattack. So at that point you'll feel kind of a little better. So we'll get to 18 for sure from this. Let's check out the... We already did the engineering stuff.
What can I help you with?
Or like I almost wanted to make it like where I can only sell stuff to people where it makes sense. So you might have use for broken metals and stuff. Almost like Bethesda style. Like all this stuff is good. You wouldn't even want to sell it. This all we can sell to some other general goods random clown. This will be quest item. Quest item. This you could keep. Want to sell those 2 and that. The jerky we can keep. Cloth he might not have use for. I don't know whether he likes actually fish or not. So most of it I don't care about. I don't have to be that particular, but Or like we don't even you know what I was gonna say, like we don't have anything to do with linen, but we do actually, because you sometimes require for engineering stuff. So I should hold back. That's why in fact I was only able to make this many of the bombs, but it's not like I really want that many more anyway. And they don't even stack. So who's like a general goods guy here? Like even he might have use for the food. The butcher I could obviously use to get food myself. For the pet, but I almost don't even need it. A tusk. That would be kind of a cool way of doing it. Like you can only sell to people who have some relevance to what you're doing. So if somebody, yeah, cloth and leather. So now you can sell the cloth. I've been kind of doing that, but I feel like I haven't been 100% on point about it. These I could just eat myself. I mean, I'm definitely against the idea of just like destroying stuff randomly though. Cloth and leather, right? So we can do leather. You can do that. Now you want to sell that. This is why I almost don't like picking stuff up at times, because it just becomes a pain later. Because I can't destroy it. I can't even necessarily sell it easily. So who would buy a chipboard tusk? It would have to be like a general goods vendor. I don't even think there is one here. If there was one, you would think it'd be there. Bowyer. Even the innkeeper arguably should count. But yeah, you should almost be allowed to do that. Just sell anything to them, but there'll always be one. Did you find Fizzle? He and the rest of the Burning Blade must be scoured from our lands. Aha, you got him. You do your clan proud. And because of you, Duratar is free of one more agent of evil. Margos. One of our shamans, Margos, knows more of the Burning Blade's corruption. He speaks from a cave called the Skull Rock in the mountains, just outside Orgrimmar, that shelters a large band of Burning Blade cultists. Before you go to Skull Rock, speak with Margos. He is wise and counsel is valued. He is camped in the northeast between the coast and Dry Gulch Ravine. Follow his advice, but whatever Margos says, I still want you to crush those cultists. That's the guy who's like standing by that little puddle up at the top, who I didn't even know what he's there for. I thought it was like for a class quest or something. This could get a little annoying with respect to the general goods thing, but in general, they're not that hard to find, I guess. Yeah, the whole backspace thing has been a minor issue, but a lot of this we can get rid of anyway. So here we would have to like, well, first I want to do this thing at the top, unless he's going to send me there after the fact, which would be a little bit anticlimactic, so maybe I should check this first. So he's like up there, so you don't really even want to go from this angle, but maybe I'll try to. The problem is your elevation will be too high, so you might not be able to do it. That's the only thing that would be annoying, is if he sends me to the exact same cave to clear it out, which might be what it is, because we already did the other one. Niru Fireblade. Margot's hidden enemies, so I don't really know what this one is about. I don't know if I used this house. Maybe I felt like it was too close to Razor Hill, so it shouldn't be allowed. But it's not like I even use Razor Hill, period. The only time when I won't use houses like in the same quote-unquote location is just if they're like literally on top of each other. Like every house in Razor Hill shouldn't count separately. You can rest once in Razor Hill and not in the inn, and then maybe from there you can figure it out. You might actually see him from here. I don't know why I felt like the elevation would be too high. This is that moment where I was clowning paladins over here, saying like, oh, I have more melee abilities as a hunter than paladins do as a primary melee class. Like, what kind of a fucking class is it? One of the worst RPG classes in gaming history is the classic WoW Paladin, because even though, yeah, sure, you're a healer and you have Consecrate and all these kind of situational things, they're a good RP class. Like, you have Exorcism and things that kind of fit with, you know, the holy aspect. But gameplay-wise, you do the seal, you do Judgment, and that's it. That's 100% of the experience. Nobody can justify that. You might say that's true with other people, like, oh, as a mage, you just spam Frostbolt. But at least you have the option to do other stuff. You could do Fireball. You could do, you know, you have Fire Blast. You could do Frost Nova. You have all the CC. You could do all kinds of other stuff, like Arcane Missile spam. Like, at least you have those options. As a Paladin, you have no options. It just doesn't make sense. Like, healing is valuable, but...
Speak, friend.
Welcome. Word has reached me of your coming. How? and of your exploits in Duratar. You are a hunter of growing skill and renown. Well, that we take with some respect because we want to show off our pet more than anything. Stay on the pure path and your future will be great indeed. Rygo, the Burning Blade has infested the cave east of Orgrimmar known as Skull Rock. Inside that cave, they perform vile rituals and burn their own flesh with searing collars. By wearing these collars, I believe the cultists attune themselves, and it'll send me here 3 times for the one we just did. Then it'll send me for the collars. Then it'll send me to kill that one guy at the end too, right? I believe the cultists attune themselves to demonic power. But to confirm this, I must have... No, it's just part of their fashion style. It's just a fetish they have. I must have collection of collars to study. Go to Skull Rock and gather searing collars from the cultists you find there. Bring them to me and I'll uncover their secrets. Yeah, there's searing collars from the cultists in Skull Rock. Get the Namargos at his camp. Sword, mace. You can use two-handed swords, so like this would be better. This would actually be a huge, well, 7.6, 2 agility. It's actually not that much better. In fact, the top end is lower. That's always the thing you care about as a warrior, right? The top end damage, more so than even the DPS. Whatever does the most base, like, okay, 27 max. So this is Skull Rock again. It's infested by Burning Blade, you don't say. I still want to do the other one, but they're not going to let me. I mean, at least it's close by. I almost thought he might send me to the other one because I guess where I got that item to drop was just completely random. So, or I'm not even on the quest, right? I'm on the next part of it, but it'll force that to be in my inventory till the end of time, I guess. Just give that shit to Thrall and be done with it. Have some other adventurer do it. We pretty much maxed out our two-handed axe seal. That wasn't too inconvenient. Let's go ahead and give this guy a break. Maybe I shouldn't be able to move while doing it. Just wait for that to run out. It doesn't take very long, so I would always overfeed my pet when I first, maybe it's lasting longer now than I expected. It's just one little piece of meat. How long does it take for you to digest that shit, dude? Why did I feel like it went away sooner before? Okay. At least we cleared the place out effectively, so now I'll just do it for the sake of the collars. Like, I don't have to do anything in particular. 6, hopefully they don't have, like, a super low drop rate. Sometimes you think, oh, it's a blessing when they don't, like, oh, kill 10 of them or kill 10 of each type. But it ends up taking shorter to do that than it would be to, you know, collect, like, 3 things. Because the drop rate's just super low, so it ends up evening out. See, this is why you don't do the... This is why you don't do the tab, because it's not always going to work for you. So clicking in that case isn't necessarily a bad thing. So many things I forgot about this game that... Or that I just do differently now, I guess. And you're getting a nasty crit like every single fight. Be careful with the space, though. You see, even there, it's hard to target. Like... Unironically, it's not that bad to click there. I mean, I want to sell stuff just because money hasn't been the best scenario here, but yeah, how do expert try-hard metagame players, of which I am the best of all, how do they deal with that when there's so much shit around that you wouldn't want to tab target? It'd be even worse if you... What the fuck? Random elite. I love it. Bellweaver Scrot. I almost feel like I could take him. I'm feeling way overconfident. I mean, he's only level 11, so if there's ever a time where you could do it, he's just going to have some crazy ability. That's the problem. I have all kinds of different reserves in my back pocket, but what you have to do is you have to clear a path to be able to escape. And of course, it kind of clowns you because other people are going to be around. That I love that. Like, we're just walking along doing the same thing we just did, and oh my goodness, random elite. Now thankfully we're a higher level, so that's the cushion that we get, but he's gonna be the 6th caller. I mean, I'm gonna try it because he's only level 11, or we can have the pet do what it's gonna do, but problem is we can't pull him that far back, so you have to hope that the other guy doesn't aggro. Go ahead and do this, and we can stun him. We get a resist. This has an incredible amount of health. And so we are going to let the pet take care of it. He doesn't do a ton of damage, to be fair. Go ahead and do the bomb. We stun him. We dodge, we mongoose bite, 40 crit. He wasn't hard at all, but you know, it's only a 6 level difference. So I mean, as much as you respect an elite, it wasn't really that big of a deal. So what was the point of that, dude? Why do we just randomly get clowned by stuff like this? Because put yourself in the shoes of somebody who's not, you know, who's not 6 levels higher and just doing this normally. You get clowned by a random elite. How often does that happen where an elite will just spawn in a dungeon like that? Is it like from some other class quest that somebody just left it there and died to it? Like somebody's doing that to troll, or they actually just got clowned and had to delete their character because they failed the hardcore challenge. So there are sometimes things where that happens. Like you summon an elite for a quest to kill it, like the guy, the wind elemental to get the wind, whatever the fuck, the cyclone axe and stuff as a warrior, right? But if you die to it, and it'll just stay there, right? And then you just give up and okay, I'll do it later. I'll have my friend carry me to do it because I, you know, it's way too strong of an enemy perhaps. But then it just stays there forever, or for a certain period of time. I don't know what would cause it to despawn. But yeah, it doesn't go away just because you fail the quest. Or it stays to give you another chance to come back and kill it. You don't have to keep doing like a whole cutscene again or whatever the case may be. Yeah, you might think, oh, he's only level 11, but I mean, you shouldn't really be trying to take out elites. Obviously, the luxury of the pet is very nice, but it doesn't mean that it's that much of a sure thing. They just take away the pet too, take away melee abilities too, take away engineering, take away everything. Just literally beat them with your unarmed bare fist. Which if it was a game like Dark Souls where you could dodge every attack, okay, you could theoretically do it, but so much of it is fixed values and unmitigatable damage that what are you expected to do?
What do you need?
Have you yet entered Skull Rock? Yeah, for the second time now. You have the Syrian collars. Good. Hiding within these collars is a secret behind the burning blade, and I will uncover that secret. I do kind of want this. So where do we learn two-handed swords? I'm positive you can use them as a hunter. I just somehow forget. It must be the Undercity. So we'll save that all the way till then. Level 18. The Syrian Niru Fireblade. The Syrian collars you brought me are powerful demonic implements. Divining their origin. Arg. Rygor, unlocking the secret of these collars is beyond my skills already. He gives up before I'm done reading the quest text. But then again, that was his conclusion from it. Take a Syrian collar. Oh, wait. Divining their origin, I'm afraid, is beyond my skills as a shaman. We will need a warlock to study them. Take a Syrian collar near a fireblade. Although he's a skilled warlock, he professes to use his powers to thwart demons and claims his research in the occult is benign. Oh, he's in like the RFC part of town, like where the rogue is, I think. Be that true or false, we may need an aid against the demonic cult in Duratar. You will find Orgrimmar in the Cleft of Shadow. Bring an example collar to Nero. Okay, so that at least explains where he is. The name is just so familiar, but I forget. I should remember everything by just how many times I've killed the NPCs in Orgrimmar. Now they're actually gray. We'll do this one. This one seems objectively better because I could just spam Wing Clip, and you're going to use it at least once per fight. This you're also going to use once per fight. But like if you do the math, you'd have a 20% chance per fight to get it. Here you would have like a 5, 10, 15, 25% chance per fight to do it. Right? But the fact that it's spammable and this isn't, right? I just did it more for RP purposes. Like, okay, if you set a trap really well, you deserve to be rewarded. Whereas this is just kind of degenerate, spammable nonsense that you shouldn't really try to play into too much. But I think for most intents and purposes, that's probably the better one to get. Because at least you have the choice. If it doesn't trigger at the beginning of the fight, then it's just going to be useless until the next one. Unlocking the secret. Okay, we saw that. So Nero for 2 of these, and then speak to Thrall himself. You have to go all slow and RP walk through the throne room. And this will give us passage then to the crossroads. Or to another house on the way to the crossroads. But no, I think I have the perfect idea if actually were to rest. So now the Barrens can be a very unforgiving place because the level range varies so wildly, and I don't know. We almost want to make a way to Thunder Bluff from there somehow, just to give Mulgore a shot. I wanted this to be such an exhaustive horde type of playthrough where, you know, we do like every quest in Mulgore and every quest in Turisfal. But the way I did it with Turisfal is like I did every quest in Brill that was relevant, but I didn't go back to Death Knell and do those. At least the ones I did in Brill were somewhat relevant to my level. Like I was still a little bit higher than would justify doing them, but I was only like around level 10, 12 by the time I got there, so it wasn't that big of a deal. And we did so much of that without a pet. We only got the so like from level 10 to level like 16, we didn't have a pet, and we're only level 18 now. So the majority of time that we've been able to have a pet, I just chose not to do it. I even said I wouldn't go to Orgrimmar for just anything, but since they're forcing me to do it, like for this, I guess it could be justified to learn some spells for level 18. Right, like how often is it going to be where they send you specifically turn a quest into Thrall, turn a quest into whoever? That'll be us basically saying goodbye. We're off to the crossroads, never to come back again for a while at least. So we said hello and we showed off our pet. Now we get to say goodbye to our trainer, who's so proud and impressed with us. They're still 17. They've kept up with our experience though pretty well. Or actually, we don't do business. Oh fuck. We're not allowed to buy back either, though. We don't do business with the guns and other clown trainers. Hard to say, like, who would even buy a thing like that if you were trying to extrapolate it that way? Like, these are somehow general goods that they'll get some value out of. All of this stuff I could just eat. The sword I should probably put in the bank, although I don't know how much room in the bank I have. I think I did exhaust most of it. This could be used to craft more of the bombs. Yeah, if this is really going to be our inventory going forward, then I don't know what to make of it.
Strength.
Like all this stuff is fine. Some of these I keep just as like a novelty. Like, oh, that's a different kind of fish than we normally see. So you sell this old, stinky, spoiled meat to the... Or we should just destroy it in the bonfire. Right, because it's gone bad since last time. So somehow we just didn't have enough room in there for anything. Like this could maybe stack. This should go in there. This should go in there. This should be used up. And, you know, if he gets a little hungry later, this, I'm not so sure. We would use that to maybe craft more bombs, but it wouldn't do us any good. So these at least we could eat. These are quest items. Yeah, we've only been to Orgrimmar or any capital city twice so far. Once, or sorry, yeah, twice before. This is the third time. So the first time was just to introduce it and to talk to every NPC, right? Just get to meet everybody. And then the second time was just a case where, wait, but why is that even like that? You would have to first empty this out and then switch it. Yeah, why am I using the 6-slot? Why am I using the 4-slot bag when I have a 6-slot bag? You cannot put non-empty bags in other bags. Infinite bag loop, right? Like what you see in Tibia. A bag that can hold an infinite number of other bags that can also hold stuff in them. So, put that there. Put the sword away for now because, again, we're not going to go to the Undercity or whatever for a while. That's just because I got it from fishing, I guess. Like, some stuff I just know for sure I'm not going to use, so... What here could potentially stack? That could potentially be helpful, but... Right, like at least it's a consumable thing that at least you could use for... But see, I don't want to use it for anything is the thing. A lot of this stuff, you would question why I have it, but it is what it is. Because... it has some sentimental value, or it has some weird reasoning behind it. So I'll just leave it. A lot of these are quest items. And now I can no longer hold that just as a base filler. In fact, I don't even know why I have that, but... You have to turn in 2 quests to Nero. Hopefully they don't give me too many in response. But what it's really going to be is something to do with RFC. You have to get to the point where you get that one and then don't pick it up. Because I'm going to be obligated to do it, but... Even that much you should be able to extrapolate. We already talked to everybody here, so we should know exactly where he is, but... How much space do I really have? I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10... And a lot of this you could clear out. I should have tried to get my fishing up a little bit higher, but I guess I just don't have any meat on me most of the time, or most of the meat that I get is always being given to the pet right away, or it's going bad and then I can't use it. So again, if I had add-ons, I would have add-ons for purposes like that, not to make the game easier and simpler and more, just give me more feedback and all this kind of stuff, but actually the opposite. Like, tell me when my food spoils, have like a timer that you're just making up, or like all these kind of other conditions. Tell me which mining nodes I've used before, so I can never use the same one in the same exact location again more than once, so it discourages farming. All those kind of things would be what I would want add-ons for. So yeah, we don't really have much of a reason to ever come to this part of town. Oh, he's even standing right outside of RFC.
Strength and honor.
Listen closely to what you are told and do not quickly trust or distrust, for even friends serve their own ends. That rhymes. Our great war chief knows this, and to prove these warlocks are within the horde, there are warlocks who do not wish to destroy it from within or gain control over it. I have volunteered to aid our young leader in any way I can. Playing the beast we can't do, but let's just read it. Primary task set upon me, maybe our great war chief, is to root out the creatures responsible for infesting our Lord's great city with demonic influence. The Burning Blade is one threat, but there are others. The Searing Blade, for example, who make their home in the Ragefire Chasm. Oh, I thought somehow they were one and the same. Secretly attempting to subvert innocent members of the Horde. If they are not stopped, their leader... If they are to be stopped, then their leader must be slain. A Felguard named Aragamon the Hungerer. Kill him, and his heart will appease the thrall of this, I'm sure. Enter Ragefire Chasm and slay him. Bring his heart back to nearer Fireblade. My most humble greetings, Hunter. How may I help my troll sister today? Look at you name dropping everything. You're name dropping my class, my gender, and my race. Everything. This guy is more focused on identity than modern day Democrats in the United States. Am I right? Where did you get this? Good, Margot's in Razor Hill sent you to me, did he? Well, let me take a closer look. He's not in Razor Hill. He's in the middle of goddamn nowhere. Akzaloth. Since the last Great War, I like when they interrupt your reading of the quest text with this. It's a good thing that you brought this to me. They'll do some cutscene. He'll say, Arg, I'm not strong enough. Go to somebody else now. Since the last Great War, when the Burning Legion was defeated, I have searched for... Why? Because did you fight in it? Like, he's name dropping that too. I have... Search for the sort. I like that guy who gave me that 4-slot bag, the random soldier up on the watchtower in Razor Hill. He's talking about, oh, I fought alongside Thrall in the Mount Hyjal or something crazy like that. I've searched for sources of demonic corruption in Orc society. The collar you have brought me confirms my fears. It belongs to the Burning Blade. Yeah, we knew that much. A cult that rallies around an item of demonic power. It is called a Demon Seed and resides in the Barrens atop Dread Mist Peak. It must be destroyed. Go to Farwatch Post on the board of the Barrens and speak with my assistant Akzaloth. He will direct you further.
For the Horde. Speak.
The Demon Seed could be another name for the Good Son, the movie starring Macaulay Culkin or whatever, where that Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel had such a moral panic about. Like, it's not a particularly good movie, but I actually liked the premise of it. They were trying to bash it for the wrong reason, right? Like, oh, it's bad to see a kid doing these terrible things. Like, you see that in The Omen or other horror movies and all kinds of stuff. Like, that's just the subject matter. But, you know, even when something is bad, it's important to criticize it for the right reason, which is just, okay, it wasn't particularly well made or interesting or this or that. But no, I hate these sort of phony moral arguments. Like, there's plenty of movies that do sick and horrible and twisted things. You have something vital to report. I can sense it in your eyes. In my eyes, huh? Like this eye, you mean? Intriguing. Examines that burning eye of the burning shadow. Intriguing. The voice you heard mentioned my name. I am known for hunting down enemies of our war chief, but it is strange that I was singled out. Stranger still that the burning blade cultists from whom you recovered this pendant have a name so close to my own. You're acting like you're not a double agent or something. Like they're talking about you like they know you. I must study it like he used to be in with them. Like, what did it say exactly? I forgot. It says it like in this, doesn't it? Words emanate. Report. There's word of your discovery. You must prepare for an attack. I order you to speak, or I will make sure Nearer Fireblade knows of your presence, and he will descend upon you with swift brutality. I don't actually know what the meaning of this is. It makes it seem like it's not like, oh, he has the same first name. He has the same first and last name. So what are you talking about? It's strange that I was singled out. Stranger that the burning blade cultists from whom you recover this have a name so close to my own, as in identical. I must study this pendant. I must study and must ponder the meaning of his message. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. You have done your people a great service. Don't give me any more quests. Okay, good. So this is for the barons. Is very fitting. I'm surprised it's already green, although we are almost level 20, so yeah, the Barrens is just a wild zone. That's why the chat was so crazy, because not only is it like one of the biggest zones in the game, probably the biggest, but it's also, you know, shared between 3 races, which is unusual. And as far as a 10 to 20 main hub zone, there isn't really one for Alliance like that, where, you know, you have Loch Madan, you have Westfall, Darkshire, Red Ridge, a lot of different ones to choose from. Darkshore. The one that's really missing is the one for Tauren. Tauren don't have a zone. Like, Tauren are somehow equated to dwarves, if you're to look at it, like on a 1-to-1 basis. Like humans versus orcs, just like to show like, okay, those are the face of the factions. Then Tauren to dwarves, like they kind of mind their own business and they have their own little interests. Tauren's like nature, dwarves like archaeology and exploring and history and stuff like that. And gnomes and trolls are like the welfare races that kind of cling on to the others, and then undead and night elves are sort of the outcasts on the other continent. So there's sort of a structure of consistency between them that maybe not everybody realized or whatever. Crossroads, that's kind of what I want to do, but we have to speak to Thrall, and then we have to learn our quest. Everything else should be fine. So unless Thrall gives me another quest to cuck me, but he'll probably give me an RFC quest, so then I can cuck him back. The drag, more like the experience of being in Durotar again and having to do this, but it is fitting that we should have to clean what's on our plate, right? Any true hunter knows that their next hunt cannot begin until you have licked clean the plate of your last, which is my title, obviously. This is one series where I've been keeping the titles consistent between when I upload them to YouTube and on Twitch, but normally I don't do that. It's especially hard to keep track of for longer series, like with chess or something, because you do like so many hundreds of episodes that there's no special meaning or context to them. Sometimes it's just like beating like a dead horse over and over, although to be fair, that's sometimes how people play games like this, which I think is a real disservice. My whole habit of jumping is kind of immersion breaking, like unless it's a Oblivion, Morrowind type of thing where you're spamming your acrobatic skill. That makes it even worse, in fact, because you would want all the skill gains you get to be like relevant to, you're not doing it just for the sake of doing it. This was the part where I was clowning Nicolas Cage, like, yeah, that's one of the best excuses for being a bad actor ever, is like, just when I was talking to these NPCs, I bought a dinosaur skull at an auction for like $200 million and made a bad investment. Therefore, I chose a lot of bad movies to be in as a result to make that money back. Like, what a great excuse. So in the presence of the war chief, we almost shouldn't have our dog, but they respect it because Rexar is a hunter of some renown himself, as long as he's on his best behavior, which we won't have to scold him too strongly. And he mirrors our RP walk too.
Spirits be with you,
Vol'jin doesn't really look all that intimidating here, though, I must say. We go into here, we have to kneel, although you can't really talk to him from that far away, so they kind of force you to break that immersion element, like you'd like to kneel from here and talk to him.
Loktar, friend. What is it you wish?
Kneel too, Wolf. You gotta kneel. We still haven't given him a name because we don't want to get too attached to him. That would be the deeper psychology behind it. All members of the Horde are equal in my eyes. We all have said we can sneak him some food, but he'll actually have to just suffer for a moment here. It's rude to eat in the presence of the war chief. Rygor, we are the pets of the Horde equal in your eyes too? We've all suffered many burdens. As if it was not for our wisdom and honor, then we would be no better than the Scourge or my people while our blood was tainted by the demon Manaroth. It's a good parallel he draws there. That's maybe why he sympathizes with the Forsaken, because he knows what it's like to be the better of a worse half. It is your duty to aid the Horde and to defend our way of life, but it's also your duty to know when quarter and compassion should be given to friend and foe alike. Understand this well. This is the new horde, not some demon-spawned army who lack free will. You have the insignia yet. It will be vital to infiltrating what I believe is our greatest threat to the horde, and finally finding peace in our new home. You will learn how intricate a web men and orcs alike can weave when they are motivated by greed and power. The hidden agendas, the corruption, all of it will become clear, and you will find yourself in the midst of a war you never knew existed. The small runes marks the bearer as a lieutenant of the Burning Blade. Good Rygord, the spirits will be praised. Spirits be praised. Perhaps you are the one who will finally put my greatest fears to rest. Who would suspect someone so young and so brave would rise up to be a champion of our cause? I owe it all to my buddy here. So please don't kick them out. You remind me of myself when I was younger. I will ensure that you are justly... Yeah, when you got locked up in Durnhold Keep and had to be rescued.
Have you come to serve the horde?
Oh, I guess I never really listened to some of this dialogue.
Loktar, friend.
But he'll get mad
What is it you wish?
if I pester him too much. But you could do that to hear all the flavor dialogue, which is going to be different, obviously, than regular guards and stuff. I guess I never really thought about that. You remind me of myself when I was younger. I will ensure that you are justly rewarded for your efforts if we both survive the coming storm. Even after playing him for literally thousands of hours, there's so many things I still miss. Like, I never really took the time to listen to that. I would always... You don't talk to them that much, first of all, and even when you do, you're just in a hurry and you're not really paying attention. You are justly rewarded if we both survive the coming storm. But there's time for more praise later. You've not accomplished anything in comparison to what you will face, but this is a good start. Hidden enemies low level. It would be wise to explain to you the depths at which our enemies will go to hide themselves under our noses. No, now this isn't even part of the quest text. This is just his general text, but it's different. Know this first and foremost, our enemy is the Shadow Consul. No matter what task I give you or who I ask you to act against, know that one simple fact. Many cults exist within the council, but only to hide the actions against the foolish. Groups like the Burning Blade, the Argus Wake, and the Searing Blade are all tools of the council. Consider them one and the same. Now let us see if this insignia you found is worth the effort. There's a warlock within the city, let me guess, Nero, who believes that he has my trust. He does not know that I realize where his true loyalties lie. He is in fact the leader of the Burning Blade, but do not rush off to do battle with him. He has he's level 37. I'm gonna get my ass beat. But do not rush off to do battle with him. He has a purpose, and we shall use him against our enemies. I mean, that's where the gem even says. I love how he plays that off. Plot twist already. Top 10 anime plot twist. He's saying Nero Fireblade in the fucking gem, but like he's playing it off. What are the chances that somebody has the same name as me? Wow. I almost bought it too. I don't know any of this lore because I didn't do it from the Horde side. Well, I mean, I didn't obviously do Horde quests, period. He does not know. Yeah, we all know now because the stone said it. And we shall use him against our enemies. Their leader is a random 37 non-elite. Just keep that in mind. Surrounded by level 55 guards, they can kill him at any point. Take this insignia to him in the cleft of shadow, so he thinks he's being all clever, but speak to him and see if he believes you are one of his own, and then return to me here. Well, he knows I'm not one of his own because we literally just talked to him and ruined it. We did sequence breaking because we gave him some other quest, right? We just showed him the gem, or we could use that against him. Like, the reason why we didn't give this gem to Thrall and we gave it to you was because we were trying to protect your identity, master. And then we kneel before him like that. See if he believes you are one of his own. But shouldn't he know that he hired me? I guess maybe one of his lieutenants could have done it for him. Take the lieutenant's insignia to Nero Fireblade and speak to him. Gauge if he believes you are a member of the Burning Blade and return to Thrall.
Welcome to Orgrimmar.
Well, Hunter, does he believe your ploy, or are things worse than I had first estimated? Proving valuable to Nero will make our infiltration of the Shadow Consul much easier. You will have plenty of information that we can use to route out those who would destroy all we've built in Duratar. Okay, so just torture him and just fucking make him tell you. That is like a major plot twist moment, and is more so revealed by the gem. But see, those are two things that could maybe happen separately. This we were going to turn in anyway, right? I don't think the two were related, the fact that I happened to talk to him first. In fact, in a way that kind of ruins it, because now we've kind of already outed that we know that he's near, or we have to act so dumb that, oh yeah, we're just a dumb innocent troll who doesn't even know how to use a bow, even though we're a hunter. So therefore, we would fall for a ploy like, oh my goodness, I'm only allowed to use those if like an NPC gives them to me, which some of them have. Like you complete a quest and your reward is to get Arcane Intellect rank 4 or something stupid. So the whole point is that we have to act dumb enough that he would believe that we would fall for such a thing as to, yeah, Niru is totally somebody else, or that would let us know that we really know it's him. And again, we delivered it to him to protect his secret. I love that. His playing dumb was actually kind of convincing, though. What are the chances? Yeah, maybe they should have a code name for him, or maybe they shouldn't say his whole full fucking name. But I guess they don't know that a gem is going to be stolen and tapped for information. This is like an RPG fantasy version of a wiretap. Like we have a little listening device in your magical listening capability within this stone or this eye, right? Compared to like wiretapping a phone or something in real life. We want to make it to the Barrens as well, assuming they don't keep giving me quests forever. There's a little bit of a story and intrigue stuff going on though with this. Okay, we shouldn't move when we're doing that. Let him digest his food in peace. It lasts a lot longer, actually, than I thought. And now we're actually out of food, so maybe we should get some for the butcher for the trip, but I probably don't need to. Or there's plenty of beasts to slay on the way, but I'll try to avoid them, mostly. Yeah, so the only one is this guy. So all he's going to do is tell me go into RFC, and then he'll snicker behind my back, and you'll never come back, because he doesn't have faith that we'll actually get through it. Listen closely to what you were told. Do not quickly trust distrust. You may speak frankly. Oh, that's just us trying to do the bait. One of our own. It is good to see our numbers are growing so rapidly that I can no longer keep track of the faces of our members. That fool Thrall thinks I'm working hard. Should you really say this in Orgrimmar, though, in the first place? Just so openly? Thinks I'm working hard to cleanse the image. Oh, shoot. This player is going to hear you. To cleanse the image of warlocks and prove that we are his servants. Idiot. The burning blade will make ash of this entire world after it drains it completely. It's good to see the burning blade is taking over where the Shadow Council once failed. Naive fool. The burning blade is the Shadow Council. Let me admit everything. There are many cults and organizations under the council's rule, but all of them are just extensions of their will. I may lead the burning blade, but I am just still a pawn to the council as you are to me. Look at the Searing Blade. Most of them think they are becoming the next rising group of powerful warlocks that will replace the Shadow Council. But the Searing Blade is expandable. Look at all these specific questions we're asking, and he'll gladly... This is like the Pinhead moment, right? In Hellraiser, where it's like... What are they called? Like the... Whatever, Pinhead and all the other monsters are unleashed from the box, right? You open the box, they came. But then they'll gladly indulge all the questions of this chick that they're torturing. Like, you've done this before, haven't you? Many times. Do you know this guy named Frank or whatever? Oh, yes, we do. Oh, he got away. Like they're having this ongoing conversation where, like, she has no power in that situation. They're just going to take her with them and kill her. But no, let's answer every question so politely. Who are you? We are travelers from another dimension, and... What do you want? We want to take you with us. Like, so much detail and exposition through that. Look at the Searing Blade. Most of them think they're becoming the next rising. Save for their leaders, the Satyr Basilan and the Warlock Jurgosh. Yes, all of them. Now, Jurgosh is an RFC, right? If I'm not mistaken, he's not really the final boss, but he's like in the other part, maybe. That is why I constantly send Thrall's worshippers at them. It gives Thrall the impression that I'm weeding out the evil in the bowels of his great city. The victory is twofold. Kill Thrall's faithful and test the strength of those in the Searing Blade. See if they are truly worthy of joining me. Is there anything you would have of me? I will make it known to you. You are obviously already proving yourself in our ranks to become a lieutenant so quickly. Perhaps you can return to me later and I will have tasks for you. The council adores... Yeah, I'm better than that level 9 fucking clown with just a Voidwalker. Like, where your pet is stronger than you. Imagine that. Meanwhile, he's tanking everything for me without me being able to do anything about it. I'll have to turn off his bite ability to just kind of handicap him to make it fair. Perhaps you can return to me, I will task. The council adores those skilled in the arcane. The servants of all kinds are always welcome, no matter their profession. Yeah, he's saying that not because I'm not a mage, but because I don't have arcane shot, because I refuse to use a bow. It's really quite the extrapolated insult. This guy is such a clown NPC. This is actually hilarious dialogue, how stupid he is, or how stupid he first pretends to be, but then he actually lives up to being that stupid for real. Now what, we go back to Thrall and then we go back again? Like, how many times are you gonna do this? Or it's just gonna tell me to, look how much of the screen this actually takes up. Doesn't it normally like cut it off and it'll do like ... if it's that long? So we gauge the reaction, so go back to Thrall again. Making Thrall seem just like a regular NPC, but you do talk to Sylvanas and Very Mothras a lot too. So it does make you feel like hands-on. Like, what was that quote that somebody said on Reddit? Like, I used to feel like nobody doing heroic things. Now I feel like a hero doing nothing. But meanwhile, this kind of contradicts that. Like, you were speaking directly to Thrall at like level 10. But you were still, you know, a hero like way too easily, where it feels like everything revolves around you. But still, it was more in line with old school RPG things, where you can do something so small and it can still feel meaningful in the context of the overall experience. Like, oh, you're just killing bears, or you're just picking up random stuff, you know, but add it all together and it makes for a very complete, compelling experience. So any one individual moment might not seem that good, or, oh shit, can't even keep up with my own RP in too many ways I have to do it.
Friend, what is it you wish? Welcome to Orgrimmar. Have you come to serve the Horde?
Excellent, most excellent. What you have done today is the first step in a much broader foundation. A foundation which we will build the destruction of the Shadow Council on once and for all. It's kind of an oxymoronic way to put it. A foundation upon which you will build destruction. The destruction must always come before creation. Lelouch Lamperouge. Tell me all he said, and leave not one word out. It may be more important than you realize. The leaders of the... yeah, have the pet. He's my stenographer for me. He writes everything down. This concerns me most. Leaders of the Searing Blade. If they are the ones of value to Niru, then those are the ones we must target first. Basilan and the other Niru. What was he, a warlock? Or isn't Basilan like the one at the top? So, oh, in other words, the people who were in RFC anyway. So we could go in RFC and kill everybody, and Balazan and that guy would be part of it anyway, Jurgosh, and the Felguard. Like, so in other words, just kill everybody there that you should have done anyway. And the other warlock, what was he, a warlock? Oh, the other Niru mentioned. Return to the Cleft of Shadow and enter Ragefire Chasm. Find these two leaders of the Burning Blade, kill them, but be careful not to let Niru know it was you who did this. You must retain your identity as one of his sisters in arms. How the hell would you hide that fact? I guess because you are killing literally every person in there. There'll be no witnesses left to tell you. Yeah, just go and murder his entire clan and he won't know that it was you as you walk by him with your group going in behind. So obviously I can't pick that up. One of his sisters in arms. Kill Balazan and Jurgosh. Okay. Be wise to explain to you the depths. Okay, we're good. So we're done with Orgrimmar. We're done with Durotar. All we have to do is go to... well, we can learn our spells since we're here anyway, but ordinarily I wouldn't come back just for every 2-level thing. But, you know, maybe level 20 could be a checkpoint where we go back to Silverpine again, and then we'll do the Undercity thing. Like every 10 levels, we can do a new city. So up to level 30, we'll have... yeah, then once we get to 40, we'll have to do an Alliance City. And we'll have to fish there to complete our fishing completionist challenge. That's Barons. So in return for something that we're doing for them there, they'll allow us to sleep in their town or next to the town, since we kind of want to use the other one on the outside. Undercity. So the only one that we have to worry about is Far Watch Outpost. That's the place, I think, where you just enter in, right? Or maybe not. I don't know where this guy actually is. That's pretty good. So we cleaned everything we had to do here. I thought the Orgrimmar wrap-up episode was the one, like, where we did that Durotar, or we did that Chinatown-inspired art, like, oh, the mystery of the water in Razor Hill. I thought that would be the finale, and it kind of was, because then I think I went to Tirisfal after we did Orgrimmar, but No, it actually wasn't the finale because Fizzle was still out there like a clown. Yeah, we have a decent amount of space. Some of the stuff I could get rid of just manually. The only problem is that the linen is kind of just too consumptive. Like, unless I make more bombs, but even if I make more bombs, it still won't get rid of it. It was so dumb how I actually thought, oh, Thrall's over here. Like, I should know that from having attacked it so much, but that shows you, like, how long has it really been since I've done that? And I wouldn't go to the Horde cities otherwise because I don't really play Horde players. Or even if I had played retail, which I really don't, then it would be completely different than it is now. And maybe that is true. Maybe they moved it, and that's why I was confusing that. So in the current Orgrimmar, it is on the top right, like where Garrosh was or whatever, the new Orgrimmar hold or whatever, Grommash hold. So all we need here is just the hunter spells, which I can barely probably afford. And we could train the pet, I guess, a little further. We don't even want to teach him the... Don't even want to teach him the taunt because he's just never going to use it. And one time I think I accidentally skipped a spell rank. Like I went first to buy rank 2, which seemed to save me training points, but I don't really understand that because it would teach you both, so... And you can't really see them in any capacity here, so it's hard to know. Or I should do the math on that if it's relevant. Like, is he gaining a total of that much, or is he only gaining the last amount? Like, so... Increased stamina by 5, and this is increased stamina by 3. So does that mean you're getting 8 total, or does that mean you're getting only the increase of 2 from that?
How you doing, man?
Train me in the ways of the beast. Raise stamina 3, natural armor 3. We can actually see that. Will he gain it net, or will he gain it just base, as in total? So it's only giving you the difference between this and the last rank. Increased by 700 yard range. Increased by 160. You have an abundant amount of training points that we seem to have no reason to worry about. So let's actually look at how this works. It'll still answer the question even though I'm not skipping a rank here. So your armor is 892. So is it going to go from... Is it going to go to like 1052 or something less? So if it goes to less, that means that every rank is relevant. If not, then it means it's just a total base amount. Or no, it's the opposite. Your pet is not a high enough level. Where does it even say? Oh, 18. 18. So I guess I won't find out yet. And that's something I shouldn't be allowed to do just out in the wild either. I guess this is kind of our favorite trainer because she's a troll and a female like us, as if that should matter. Learn the ways of us. Okay, Eagle Eye. I mean, I kind of want some of these just for the heck of it. And I do have arguably enough money, but let's see if there's not something else. Scarabees, like all 3 of those are worth having. This is useless, useless, useless. We can get the arcane thing just to impress Niru. Masters of the arcane are more favored by them. Crack undead. Like, I don't have enough for all this stuff. Like, why would this even be relevant for a while now? I really don't think we're going to be seeing too many undead. Or it would have made more sense when we were in Silverpine, but we just unlocked the ability to get it. Let's get Eagle Eye and Eyes of the Beast. Those could be good for some kind of RP purposes too, or even Scarabees too. Let's just completely dump all our money. Scares of Beast, this can only get you in trouble though, to be honest with you. So now we can head to the crossroads. Scare Beast, 35 mana, 1.5 second cast, 10 yard range. Scares a Beast, causing it to run in fear for up to 10 seconds, causing it to... Damage caused may break the effect. Only one beast can be feared at a time. I don't know where or if I even ever want to use that. I generally probably wouldn't want to. Or it almost makes sense to put it on the pet bar because it's such a weird, you know, beast-specific ability. And this is there almost just for RP purposes, like... to show that I almost said that that should be something I have to do to cause the pet to attack, but then I was too lazy to do the macro for it. So maybe that should be going forward. Like, anytime you attack with the pet, you have to waste 15 mana to do it and mark them, just to show that that's what you want the pet to attack. So you're not doing it for what the ability actually does, right? That's just how it knows what you want. And then Eagle Eye, Eyes of the Beast, 25 mana, channeled, unlimited range. Dooms in the Hunter's Vision, only usable outdoors, last 1 minute. Good to kind of scope out the territory on top of already being able to, you know, just on top of being able to, like, use your tracking too. Eyes of the Beast, 20 mana, 2-second cast. Take direct control of your pet and see through its eyes. That is kind of a fun ability. Or maybe that could be, I don't know why it's there even. So we need a little bit more meat. Which, honestly, under the circumstances, I don't mind getting some from here. As long as it's not going to be wolf meat that they sell me. A little bit unfair at times. Like, we're just kind of doing random stuff in town. So how do you expect me to go hunt for meat under those circumstances? Meat vendor, tough jerky, mutton chop. We like to spoil him a little bit, but we barely have enough money to do it. I get the best kind. I don't know how much of an impact that actually has as far as, you know, like, is it really going to feed him a lot better, or is it based on what level they are that's the kind of food they want? I almost feel like it doesn't matter. You probably just have to feed them a lot more if it's lower level meat. Right? There is some sort of concession or basis to that, I think. Keep making him have an upset stomach by moving while doing it. Or we can at least let him stay. We can test out these abilities next time a bit. Like, no matter how much you've played against hunters, you're never going to know exactly, you know, every little detail about them. Unless it's something that would come up in PvP, but even then I wouldn't remember it. I played a mage, so I feel like those were both pretty hard matchups. Hunters were pretty hard. Obviously, warlocks were very hard. Or like I would do this weird thing where like I would frost nova them and I would stand in the middle of their melee and bow range. So like you're in this really weird sweet spot where they can't do anything. Not that you would think, oh, melee is so bad, but then they'll wing clip you and do all kinds of other clown behavior. Yeah, everything is just to do with the crossroads. So in return for giving the conscription, they'll let us sleep in a house there. You already slept in the house like as soon as you enter there. Like, how far of a trek would it really be? Because we're just kind of going straight there, and then we can fan out from there backwards next time and find like a million houses that I'm sure there are in that area, in the crossroads, or I mean in the Barrens. I feel like I call it that a lot. I'll call the whole area the crossroads. Because, I mean, the whole shape of it is like that, too. You have 4 different zones you're going to. It connects to Duratar. It connects to Stone Town. It connects to Ashenvale. It connects to Thousand Needles. Like, it is a crossroads within a crossroads. But that's just more because it's such a massive zone. It even connects to Mulgore and sort of like a dreaded wetlands run equivalent. Where you have to go through Camp Tarajo with level 20 Kodos shooting lightning at you and all this kind of shit. Just to be able to get to your level 10 zone because you don't have one otherwise. So they really screw over the Taurens that way. I mean, the Barrens is almost a big enough and adequate zone. See, that's the kind of thing that is unfinished content, right? That's why people say, oh, the Horde was rushed and all this. That kind of makes it true, the fact that they didn't get their own dedicated zone. But on the flip side, it creates sort of a novel in-lore sort of situation where not everything is sort of handcrafted and perfect, like where, oh, of course, the Tauren just magically have their own level 10 to 20 zone that matches up with everybody else's. No, it just so happens the Barrens is so big and so important to everybody that... Oh, for some reason, I didn't expect that to be hostile. I love that random elite. So that's the first elite that we've killed. And sure, it's under our level, but I mean, what do you expect? Like, obviously it would have to be. We're not going to fight at 17, 18 elite with melee only and all this kind of garbage gear and all these limitations. Although arguably you should still theoretically, maybe, I don't see how. It'll just have too much health more than anything. I've killed so many rare spawns, but yeah, look at this clear separation of biomes in 3 ways. Like, not only from Duratar to the Barrens, but also whatever this is in the middle. Like, can you really see that? It goes from, like, sand to... Or is that, like, a bug? It doesn't really look like... Like, what is the difference that it's trying to show there? You almost can't even tell. Or that is just to show that... No, I don't even know what that means. I feel like I didn't notice that before. Or as I'm walking, it makes it look like that's rising up and covering up more of the water, but it's just, obviously, we're inching away from it. Yeah, we can sleep in this house here if you feel like that's safe, but that's kind of a cheese thing to do. Yeah, we'll spend a good amount of time in the Barrens, get to at least level 20, probably a lot more than that. But see, it's kind of caught up to us now. For most of the time, we've been over-leveled, and even here we were badly over-leveled as we were finishing off the Duratar stuff. But even the first time, like, they gave me the quest to go to the Crossroads, or to the Barrens at least, this watch post here, like, as soon as we got to Razor Hill at, like, level 8. It's like, oh, you're already over-leveled. It's like the game's telling us. But then we stay in Duratar for a super long time. We only just finish it now. And then we obviously dick around in Turistfall and this and that. So I've been to more undead zones than I've been to actual orc zones. Or an equal amount, because we haven't really done anything in the Barrens yet. To be very careful of fall damage. Yeah, like, I don't mind the pace of this. I actually kind of like it. Like, that's kind of my whole philosophy. No matter how rarely I do it, or no matter how short the episodes are, I'm not going to change the style of how I want to play it. Because it's not a rush. Like, I've done these kind of runs before. It's just, I guess I haven't done it with a hard mode condition built in too, though. Like, oh, you can only use melee. So I guess the 3 options I said were, one scenario, you can only use melee, but you can use the pet. Another scenario, you can't use the pet, but you can use the bow, which you know, you can kite around a little bit and you can still use aim shot, but then, you know, you can't really rely on that, though, because you won't have a pet to tank for you. So again, bow only but no pet, or melee only but you get a pet, or you could have in between of, like, you can use a pet and a bow, but you can't use abilities. So you can just shoot them and let the pet tank for you, but you're not allowed to use melee, and you're not allowed to use any abilities of any kind. So that seems kind of weird maybe, but it actually makes a certain amount of sense. So in return for this, or this is just, I didn't even notice this guy here before.
Strength and honor.
Nero wants the demon seed destroyed, does he? Strange. Very well, if he wishes the seed gone, then I will tell you how to remove it. It's just that simple. The demon seed is a powerful tool for the Burning Legion. It rests in a cave on Dreadmist Peak above a demonic altar of fire. I've prepared power stones that when placed near the seed will disrupt its connection to the Legion. Take a stone from the table and bring it to the altar from a fire atop Dreadmist Peak. Travel west and north to the road forks. The peak will be to your left. The safest climb to the top is its northern face. And hurry, the stone's power will consume itself in time. Grab a flawed power stone, bring it to the altar before the stone expires. Does that mean I shouldn't equip it yet? I shouldn't be allowed to fail. 3 stamina. Take a stone from the table. You will need it for your quest. But what if I don't pick it up yet? The demon seed still exists. I can sense its power. Or maybe it'll already be expired. I mean, that one I should be able to fail and try again, but it should be like permadeath in terms of quest too. Like, you're not allowed to do that. It feels like it shouldn't start the counter until you pick it up. But it'll somehow just randomly fail me now because it's still counting it. Could have tried to get a zebra. I kind of dislike this weird, like why can't you just call it a zebra? This is like some kind of PETA workaround. Like, oh, you're not killing a zebra, you're killing a fictional. Like, it's fictional anyway, but zebra, like, what a great name. Or like the crocodile is a crocolisk. Like, they just try to, and every universe does that to some extent. Like, they'll come up with some weird extrapolated name that obviously is just a lazy rendition of the name that they normally have. Now, normally I say, oh, hunters or druids shouldn't kill critters, but maybe here you're doing it to put them out of their misery. Like, in general, if there's like a little rabbit or something, you shouldn't mess around with it. I feel like this would be a pretty boring pet to have, Planestrider. Zebra is kind of unique. I feel like I never really saw too many people with them. There are so many choices. This is the whole, like, game within the game, where, like, so many mechanics exist just for one class and one class only. This is actually kind of a decent place to arguably rest. Maybe without even getting to the crossroads. Or how far is the crossroads? It's super close. You know what, though? Like, so maybe I still shouldn't do the crossroads, and I should rest here, and then we'll have another chance to rest at that one. Because this does seem pretty safe. You could justify resting here, but I guess how? Like, we would have to have some quest related to him, or maybe he's okay with it. Because he knows we have right and privilege and passage to the Barrens. Like, I don't know.
Thrall Hall.
It almost doesn't feel right. Maybe he doesn't mind. He has plenty of place to sleep. Although I can barely fit in there. Oh, fuck. I'll have to do some kind of jumping puzzle to get up to the top of the thing to actually be able to sleep in proper position. Oh, here we go. Yeah, so this guy doesn't really require anything from us because he has so much abundant, adequate room to sleep in. You get this creepy music right away whenever you go into a goddamn house. The only time it really fits is if you have like the old god stuff going on, like in Goldshire with the Cthulhu stuff. But then I feel like it plays even more creepy music. But I don't understand why the inside of houses is so bad. Okay, so you let the pet sleep on the bottom bunk, but the only way you could do that is if you or like his pet takes a liking to his kid takes a liking to our pet, so that's why he's able to right, so he's happy, we're kind of playing with each other, he thinks it's cute, and we can make it rest here on the bottom bunk. Oh, come on, what, it's too big to fit in there? That's such a perfect thing to like I want to show it's in there. Yeah, this house music is weird. Or you know what, it might be bad. No, but I can't fit in there either. You can get up to the top. This is a good way to sort of control its position, and then you can just get it to stay. We both get to be kind of kings of the house. He never really has slept on one of these before, so we give him like a proper place to rest on. So you make it stay, and then you end this. You're casting Eyes of the Beast as the beast. That is the only way really to get him to stay in a position like that. Okay, so for the first time we sleep in both proper positions. He feels like his guard is down because the kid is nice, and you know, this guy doesn't seem like a dick. So we don't have maybe the greatest explanation for really why he's letting us stay here, but just like the pet likes the thing, the kid likes the pet, let's say, and you know, he knows that we're a adventurer of some renown now, and we are helping out the crossroads, so he can let it slide. It's almost better if this house is just empty, then you don't have to justify it. You're just kind of squatting there, and somebody might come and kill you in your sleep, but then the pet would be more on guard. So for the first time, the pet is letting his guard down and just actually sleeping.